Requesting the dignitaries to take their seats, please. We are just waiting for the chief guest. Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, chief guest of the occasion, Professor Anita Mahadevan Madam, Professor D.K. Gupta, guest of honor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sonia Nityanand Ma'am, Pro Vice Chancellor Abhijit Ma'am, revered Deans of Academia,
distinguished
Dr.
dignitaries
Jain,
on the dais,
Dr. Patil,
chief
Dental, heads, esteemed audience, brilliant scholars, and researchers, ladies and gentlemen. I, Dr. Pragya Pandey, faculty member at King George's Medical University, extends a warm welcome to each one of you at the intellectual highlight of the year, the Research Showcase 2023 at the illustrious King George's Medical University. King George's Medical University, a beacon of academic excellence, has been at the forefront of cutting-edge research, and today's showcase is a testament to the institution's commitment to fostering an environment where ideas germinate, curiosity thrives, and knowledge evolves. It is my distinct honor to initiate today's proceedings by paying heartfelt welcome tribute to our distinguished dignitaries on the dais. First and foremost, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to Professor Anita Mahadevan Ma'am, Professor and Head, Department of Neuropathology at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore, and Coordinator for Human Brain Tissue Repository. A warm and sincere welcome to our guest of honor, Professor D.K. Gupta, sir, former Vice Chancellor of King George's Medical University. Thank you, sir, for being a part of this significant event. A heartfelt welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, Professor Sonia Nityanand. Thank you so much, ma'am, for gracing this occasion by your esteemed presence. It is a pleasure to have our Pro Vice Chancellor, ma'am, Dr. Abhijit Kaur, ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am. Also, cordially welcoming Dr. Amita Jain, Dean Academics, for gracing the occasion. Delightfully welcoming Dean, Faculty of Dental Sciences, R.K. Patil, sir. Special greetings to Dr. Hardeep Singh Malhotra, Dean Research and Development, King George's Medical University. Sir is the driving force behind today's showcase. Furthermore, we would also like to extend cordial greetings to esteemed guests in the gatherings. Dr. Dhaven Kumar, sir, we welcome you, sir. A very hearty welcome to Dr. Anju Kumar, ma'am. Also welcoming Professor Shelly Awasthi ma'am, ex-Teen Research and ex-Head Department of Pediatrics, KGMU. We would also like to welcome our overseas Georgians, welcoming Dr. D.K. Goel, sir, physician from United States of America. Welcome, sir. Gratitude of token to Dr. Shelja Chaturvedi, psychiatrist from Sydney. Also welcoming Dr. Alok Dhawan, sir, Director, CBMR SGPGI, and Chairman of Institutional Ethics Committee, KGMU. My gratitude to Madam Rani Jain. Welcome, ma'am. So once again, my warm welcome to each one of you, and thank you for gracing the occasion. So in reverence to the goddess Saraswati and the deep connection to knowledge and research, we invoke ancient traditions. I humbly request the esteemed dignitaries to step forward and illuminate the auspicious lamp, igniting the flame of curiosity and enlightenment.
शुभं करोति कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदा शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोऽस्तुते दिव्या दिव्यारे दीपत्कार कानि कुण्डलमोतिहार
As we embark on this momentous occasion, let us collectively pray for the divine blessings of Ma Saraswati to guide our pursuit of wisdom and the advancement of knowledge.
माझा नमस्कार सर्व देव देवतां पाशी ये ग लक्ष्मी बैस ग बाजे माझं घर तुला साजे घरातली इडापिडा बाहेर जाऊ दे बाहेरची लक्ष्मी घरात येऊ दे घरच्या सर्वांना उदंड आयुष्य सुख समाधान शांती लाभू दे
It is with great honor and privilege to extend an invitation to our esteemed Vice Chancellor, King George's Medical University, Professor Sonia Nityanand ma'am, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am's unwavering support and guidance have always played an instrumental role in all our endeavors. And I'm sure her enlightening words will set the tone for today's remarkable event.
Dr. Anita Mahadevan, the chief guest of today's function, who heads the Department of Neuropathology at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, Bangalore. Professor D.K. Gupta, the ex-Vice Chancellor of the King George's Medical University. Professor Abhijit Kaur, who's the Pro VC, Dr. Amita Jain, the Dean Academics, Dr. Patil, the Dean of the Dental Faculty, and of course, Dr. Hardeep Mehrotra, the organizing secretary for today's research showcase, Professor Dhaven Kumar and Mrs. Dhaven Kumar, Professor Goyal, Dr. Alok Dhawan, from the director of the CBMR, and many other, Dr. Mehdi, who is now the Vice Chancellor of the Eras Medical College, Professor Garg, and many other illustrious alumni in the gathering today, all the esteemed faculty members of the university, all the students, residents, and dear friends. On behalf of the King George's Medical University, a very warm welcome to the Research Showcase today on 21st of December. It's a day to showcase our research output, to realize where we stand and where we should go forward. So it's a very special day, and something which is very dear to my heart is medical research. Because every research that we do as clinicians, scientists, or medical scientists is of direct application to patients. So it's an area which has to be promoted and developed further and further. And I've been encouraging all the faculty members who've appeared in their assessment promotion interviews to write extramural grants. Because for research, as of today, you need good funding. Through intramural, you can get a seed grant to start on a new project. And this year, with the finance officer, I have made a conscious decision. I reviewed the intramural grants of the past years, and we have made a conscious decision to increase the number of the intramural grants so that the new innovative ideas can be immersed, some preliminary data can be generated, and then all of you, the faculty members here, can write that preliminary work for extramural funding. So this is one thing we've decided to do from the coming financial year, is to increase, at least 3 times increase the number of intramural grants. It is a great honor to say that 10 of our faculty members appeared in the top 2% of scientists of the world released by the Stanford. So again, they will be felicitated. It's very appreciable. The whole research showcase has been structured to recognize, award, and give a greater incentive to people who've done well in research. But we also hope that next year, the participation will be even greater, and it will go to the next level, the next year's showcase. We want to thank you, Dr. Anita, for being there to deliver the Research Day oration today. And she has established the first and the only human brain bank in the country, apart from many other areas where she's done very meaningful research, including in neuroinfections, autoimmune diseases, epilepsy, pathology, etc. It goes to her credit to have established the first and still the only brain bank of the country. So we're very honored that you have agreed to come and give the Research Day lecture, which will be a great source of inspiration to all our faculty members and students. I also want to thank Dr. D.K. Gupta. I remember at the time when he was the Vice Chancellor, I used to come as a member of the Stem Cell Research Committee, as an expert in the Stem Cell Research Committee, and I've been a witness to how much he has supported research in the university. So we are very happy that you are there between us. I want to thank the entire organizing team headed by Dr. Mehrotra and supported by Dr. Garg for organizing this research showcase today. And Dr. Hardeep is leading the research program as the Dean Research currently. And we hope, Dr. Hardeep, that next year there'll be even a higher level of our research showcase. Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to all of you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure with these encouraging words, the KGMU faculty will thrive for more and more intramural and extramural grants. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, may I now have the privilege to welcome the visionary behind the research showcase, Professor Hardeep Singh Mehrotra, sir, Dean Research and Development. Today, we are honored to have him present the annual report, reflecting on the past accomplishments and outlining the future trajectory of Research Cell KGMU. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Pragya. So after an encouraging welcome address by an Honorable Vice Chancellor, I once again welcome all the dignitaries on the dais, in the audience, all the researchers at all levels, and I'm presenting my annual report. So I'll try to be short, try to be crisp, focusing on the issues more rather than the, crunching the numbers down. So just as to recapitulate, it initiated on 26th of October 2004, and this is like the 19th year. So next year we'll be having the 20th year of the research showcase that is held annually with the aim of promoting research, promoting best practices, appreciate the research, and last but not the least, to build the capacity amongst the students, faculty members, younger and the senior faculty alike, and take the things ahead. And we have both our earlier deans, Professor Shaili Avasthi and Professor Garg, who are there, and they have been helping us out in shaping the trajectory, in helping us out wherever we are in difficult situations. This started with plenary lectures, and none less than Dr. V.M. Katoch, our earlier president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. Shiv Kumar Sareen, said they have been here to deliver the lectures. Professor Dhaven Kumar, sir is here. And we have Professor Hari Gautam, who was also earlier here. So they have delivered their plenary lectures. Since 2021, we have been holding Professor Devendra Gupta oration. We are lucky to have sir who's here, and in whose presence the oration would be awarded. So they were in 2021 given to Professor Balram Bhargav, the Director General ICMR, followed by Professor K. Srinath Reddy, the former President of Public Health Foundation of India. And now we have another luminary with us. We'll shortly hear her. Touching upon the ongoing research activities, so we have the SIB, the School of International Biodesign, and this SHINE stands for Synergizing Healthcare Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we already have the bioincubator in place, which is here, and now the 2023-24 applications are out, and we have the next batch of the candidates who are here. These are the 8 of them who have been shortlisted for their projects, for the grant of initial amount, their fellowship, and looking ahead for a output in the form of a patent or something in the form of a copyright. So luckily enough, the first Cochrane India Network meeting that occurred, that was initiated on 26th of October. So if you can see, our research showcase started on 26th of October, and it is a coincidence that the first meet of Cochrane India Network, so a subsidiary, a part of the Cochrane India. This is the subsidiary, and KGMC is part of one of the 9 centers in India. Earlier there was only one center as CMC Vellore. So now we have 9 centers and KGMC is one of them. In the presence of Dr. Balram Bhargav, from Niti Aayog, Dr. Vinod Paul, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan and Carla Suarez, this was launched. So these are the centers, and as you can see, we have King George's Medical University as a part of the 9 centers. This is the Cochrane India website that is co-hosted by the Cochrane, and we have the director, Professor Balendra Pratap Singh, also in the audience, who's heading the Cochrane India network at the KGMU affiliate. So this year we were lucky to host, there is some issue with the font. So we hosted the second Cochrane India network here, and we were lucky to have leadership from all levels. From the first highest level, Catherine Spencer, who's the CEO of the Cochrane. We had Dr. Pauline Chen from the WHO. We had the earlier director, Dr. Pratap Tharian, who was here. We had our principal secretary, and in presence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, we had a successful meeting and had 146 participants from 18 medical institutions from all over India. Cochrane has been, the Indian counterpart, especially KGMC, has been working hard in orienting the people as well as telling them about the research and the research methodology for the development of protocol. So these are few snapshots from those meetings. So we had 196 participants initially in the orientation. That included 13 medical, dental and nursing colleges from UP as well as from Delhi. A 3-day workshop was then conducted on the 14th to 16th of April, and this was a small group but led to a higher level of capacity building. KGMC continues to hold the advanced centers or nodes at KGMU. We have the Advanced Mycology Diagnostic and Research Center, is the nodal, someone who's the nodal person from here, Professor Prashant Gupta, is with us in the audience. Then Dr. Millie Jain looks after the UMMEED initiative, that is Unique Methods of Management of Inherited Disorders. So KGMC is taking this ahead. We have the Intent Network. So the nodal person is Dr. Himanshu Reddy, that is the Indian Clinical Trial and Education Network. So this is, KGMC is one of the 6 nodes in India who are looking after the clinical trials. So that is like catering to the largest area, that is the central and the southern part of the northern India. So this is being catered by KGMC. Then someone who facilitated this Center for Precision and Personalized Medicine, we have Professor Dhavendra with us. This is under the Center for Advanced Research. If you look at the ongoing research projects, we have around 271 ongoing projects in 40 departments, of which most as of now are government sponsored. There are 193, so most of them are government sponsored, and the total funding is around 23.33 crores, and you can see the breakup of that in the international and the pharmaceutical, how it's divided, that is amongst the trials and the international agencies. There was an initial dip, possibly because of COVID. Grants got exhausted, so that much amount was not moving. We hope that again, the agencies would bump up the grant and we can get more grants coming to the institute. So in terms of all the grants amongst the different heads, we still see that the government funded projects are far ahead, and the international and the drug trials are on the lower side. We hope to have more of industry partnership with KGMC to increase the grants. In terms of the intramural grants, we had 3 faculty members, 20 residents and 14 undergrads who received a grant of approximately 35 lakhs in the past year. And this was like a seed or a possible and initiated project where an extramural grant may be sought. So this has been increasing, and as detailed by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, the other thing besides the number of grants that are being increased, it is also being increased. We have the academic proposal to increase it to 5 lakhs, and if things move in the right way, to 10 lakhs, as has been done already at SGPGI and at RML also. Coming on to the Institutional Ethics Committee, so the university has an ICMR and GCP compliant ISC with competent internal and renowned external members. We have Professor Alok Dhawan, who's the chairman of an Institutional Ethics Committee, serves with us. The committee is registered with DCGI, and the registration currently holds till 2024 of November. It's also registered with the NATIC portal because there are few of the guidelines as mandated by the Government of India. During the year 2022-23, a lot of things I've carried over from my earlier dean, Professor Shelly ma'am. So IC met 9 times, and a huge 297 new proposals were entertained and 30 modifications were done. So this is, by most international standards, is like, a lot of work that goes into the IC. If we look at the faculty contributions, ma'am has already highlighted as per the Stanford assessment, these are the persons, and we would shortly felicitate them. These are the carrier ones, and for the 2022 and 23, I can see most of the awardees in the audience. Looking at the ongoing initiatives and activities, KGMC has an intellectual property rights policy that came into force on the 9th of September 2022. The thing of pride is that our IPR occurred even before the ICMR's policy. So that was first in India that came into force officially. And that was followed by the same team that drafted the IPR policy for the ICMR. Continuing our commitment to stop plagiarism and improve the research and learning, we have been having the subscription of the plagiarism checker software. So this year it is already in process, it is in force, and we are continuing with it. The PhD program looks at reshaping the foundation course, PG seminars series for both training as well as capacity building, to promote academic vibrancy also. So in the year 2022, 14 students were awarded the PhD degree. In the 2023, 10 students were awarded. This year, after the exam, 16 candidates have already joined the PhD program, and 3 more are in waiting since the last date is 31st of December this year. Amongst the seminars and workshops that have been organized by the research cell, there have been regular PhD foundation course lecture series. This includes everything in the foundation course. There have been 12 seminars targeted towards the postgraduates. We have also started workshops on basic statistics, looking at the statistician's perspective, advanced statistics from the statistician's perspective, and then we are going ahead from the clinician's perspective that I'll show. See, having a glimpse, a recap of the Research Showcase 2022. So this was organized on 9th of November, and Professor K. Srinath Reddy, as I earlier said, Padma Bhushan, he was our chief guest, and delivered the Professor Devendra Gupta oration on pathways of health research, purpose, process, products, and partnerships. See, these were few of the reports. So coming on to the last part of my presentation, so we are looking at the restructuring of the research cell. So that is already on table. So we are trying to divide this into the subsections and taking it ahead with the vice deans and the associate deans, so that things can be divided and responsibilities can be offered, as well as shared responsibilities are less in number. All submissions as well as reviews to be done online. This is what we seek, and software requirements are now being modified in light of the latest, the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, which is actually leading to the delay in adopting the software. We are looking at reforms in the functioning of IEC, especially looking at the new e-content so that the form can be filled with lesser errors and less writing. So trying to in order to develop a form that has more of drop-downs rather than writing and committing errors. The Sugam portal reporting for the serious adverse events, it has been instituted, and under the guidance of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, this was something which she was very much interested in, to have a data safety monitoring committee and the independent review monitor. So in our last 8th December meeting, so we have decided to go ahead, and we have now the first protocol that will be under the independent review monitor. So someone who's heading from the Department of Pharmacology, Professor Rajendra Nath, we have here. So he is like one of our designated independent review monitors for that. Amongst the review programs, novel programs, we have research initiatives to support excellence. That is the RISE program that has been developed. For the advanced modules, we have the mnemonic Amrit for it, and the 2024 calendar. These are something that are in the pipeline. Workshop on sample size calculation, how to prepare and submit a proposal, write a paper, a prize. So these would be more like a clinician's perspective, moving ahead from the statistician's perspective. So what will follow is the list I've written of the faculty awards, students awards. 2 things we have added: travel fellowships and the exceptional research for the best MBBS student. When I'm talking of data, I just want to highlight, this is one of my pet quotes: in God we trust, all others please bring data. So he's the data scientist, Professor Deming, from him. I acknowledge the chairman, members of the IC, reviewers of the award, PhD thesis, best publications, past office bearers, Professor Shaili Avasthi, Professor R.K. Garg, Professor Soumitra Pratap Singh, co-faculty in charges, Dr. Neeraj, Dr. Sujit Kar, staff at the research cell, Finance Office and Registrar Office, obviously no file can move without them, Office of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, and last but not the least, our Honorable Vice Chancellor and the Deans. I finish off by saying, yes, we might have been making mistakes. There would be mistakes because the process was stringent. There were a lot of publications, and we would love to have these things pointed out, and we'll try to improve. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think a very comprehensive overview of the research activities from the past year and also exciting new visions for the next year. And I'm sure that under your leadership, the research cell is poised to achieve new heights. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, at the behest of Professor Dhawen Kumar, consultant in clinical genetics at the Institute of Medical Genetics, University Hospital of Wales, United Kingdom, I am honored to announce the prestigious Professor Dhawen Kumar Young Investigator Gold Medal 2022. This award, instituted in 2012, recognizes excellence in clinical and applied research, assessed through the recipient's remarkable achievements in research grants and publications. The esteemed jury adjudged the researchers on the basis of research score as per UGC guidelines published in the Gazette of India 2018 and reviewed in 2023. And I'm happy to announce that the accolade is conferred upon Dr. Anand Pandey, Additional Professor in Pediatric Surgery, King George's Medical University. May I now request the awardee for a presentation sharing the insights into his research and publications.
Honorable Vice Chancellor ma'am, Pro VC ma'am, Dean Academics Amita ma'am, Dean Dental Patil sir, our Chief Guest Anita ma'am, Guest of Honor Dr. D.K. Gupta sir, and Dean Research Hardeep sir, Dhawen sir, Alok sir, and all esteemed faculty members. It's an honor to receive this award. I obtained my MBBS from this very institute. I am a 1995 batch graduate. Then completed my general surgery from this very institute in 2005. I obtained my MSc in pediatric surgery from Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University. All of these have been passed and selected in first attempts. After completing my MCH, I worked at various institutes. I worked as pool officer here for 3 years, And before joining here as assistant professor in April 15, I worked as assistant professor in the UP Rural Institute of Medical Sciences, Saifa Itawa. Sorry. My H index on Google Scholar is 19, and total citations are 1342. On Scopus, this index is 14, and on Web of Science, it is 11. I have total publications of 131. As first corresponding authors, there are 83, 57 international, 26 national. Most of these are original articles indexed in PubMed, followed by case reports. As contributory author, I have 46 publications, international 26, national 20, primarily being original articles in international as well as national journals, which are PubMed indexed. As a teacher and academician, it is our duty to inculcate research habit in our residents. Since I joined here as assistant professor, 17 original articles and 1 review have been published. Of these, in 13 original articles, our senior residents were the first authors. And all these 13 publications before being published were presented in national conferences, and of these, 3 received best paper awards in the conferences. There's one book published by the department. I was one of the authors of that. I had 9 book chapters, the publishers being Springer, Partridge, and elsewhere. As of now, I have received 5 grants, 1 during my pool officership, 1 as principal investigator intramural grant, 2 as mentor for senior residents. All of these are completed, and the last one as mentor for undergraduate student, Dr. Pushpendra, which is still continuing. The first 2 grants have been published in Journal of Indian Society of Pediatric Surgeons. The third one, I was mentor for our senior resident, which is now current faculty, Dr. Gurmeet. It has been published in Journal of Pediatric Surgery, our top-rated journal. And the fourth one, it has been accepted for publication in Journal of Pediatric Surgery. As of now, I had filed 3 patents. The first one has been granted in this month, in December 23. It was a handheld consistometer. There are 2 other patents, an improved forceps, which was filed in 21. And the third one, this year, a portable muscle stimulator, though these 2 are in publication phase. As of now, I have received 3 awards from our society, Indian Society of Pediatric Surgeons, namely Purushotpadhyay Research Award, Shanti Tawar Scholarship Award, and Annamalai University Travel Fellowship Award. I am a member of National Academy of Sciences since 2014 and member of National Academy of Sciences, Prayagraj, India since July 20. Apart from that, I am a fellow of International College of Surgeons, received its Pune Gastroenterology Best Paper Award, and received Appreciation Award from Honorable Chancellor KGMU in November 2021. Apart from that, in our national conference, I have received 3 Best Paper Awards. My primary area involves hemangioma, neonatal surgery, especially esophageal atresia, and rectal malformation, and in pediatric surgical oncology. In long run, I wish to establish a dedicated pediatric surgical oncology center in our department and to start a postdoctoral fellowship course in pediatric surgical oncology. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. All I can say is a very well-deserved achievement. So moving on, the presentation by the best PhD thesis awardee. From the brilliance of the present, we move to the promise of the future. Our best PhD thesis awardee stands at the intersection of innovation and discovery. With immense pleasure, I announce Dr. Praful Chandra Tiwari as the winner of the best PhD thesis out of the total 10 shortlisted PhD theses as per the jury consisting of all external members. The promising young researcher, Dr. Praful Chandra Tiwari, under the mentorship of Dr. Rishi Pal in the Department of Pharmacology, has been delving from the intricacies of pharmacological studies. His research focuses on the regulatory role of magniferin and its interaction with nitric oxide in Parkinson's disease. May I request Dr. Praful to step forward and share insights into his work.
Good morning, respected VC ma'am, respected Pro VC ma'am, Chief Guest Anita ma'am, Amita Jain ma'am, Hareep sir, and Patil sir, D.K. Gupta sir, and today I am going to present my PhD pharmacological thesis. This work done under the supervision of Dr. Rishi Pal sir. Our aim was to investigate the protective effect of mangiferin and its interaction with nitric oxide modulator in 6-OHDA-induced Parkinson's disease rats. In this study, we have evaluated several markers such as behavior and locomotor markers and oxidative stress markers. The 6-OHDA lasering in rats was done using stereotactic frame, and the rat brain coordinates was determined using Paxinoz and Watson rat brain coordinates. These are the key results. Treatment with mangiferin significantly improved the locomotor behavior in rats in a dose-dependent manner. This was also observed by their track plot. Research findings and implications. Our study demonstrates that mangiferin exhibits a dose-dependent neuroprotective effect in rats with 6-OHDA-induced hemiparkinsonism. This effect is characterized by improvements in various motor and biochemical parameters, including grip strength, locomotion, cytokine levels, and antioxidant activity. And these findings hold promising implications for the management of Parkinson's disease. Mangiferin as a natural compound could offer a valuable adjunct to existing therapeutic strategies. Further research is needed to elucidate the precise mechanism underlying the interaction of mangiferin with L-arginine and LM in modulating NO levels. And our finding open doors to innovative treatment strategies. The synergistic reduction in nitric oxide levels observed with mangiferin and LM suggests a potential avenue for combination therapies aimed at mitigating neuroinflammation and oxidative stress in Parkinson's disease. And for future clinical trials should explore the safety and efficacy of mangiferin in combination with nitric oxide modulators like LM as an adjunctive approach to conventional treatments. The study demonstrated that mangiferin has a dose-dependent neuroprotective effect in 6-OHDA lesion rats. This neuroprotective effect is notably enhanced when mangiferin is administered in conjunction with levodopa, a key component of Parkinson's disease treatment. And the combination of mangiferin and levodopa shows promise as a potential therapeutic approach for Parkinson's disease based on the research findings. Publications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to Dr. Rishi Pal also for remarkable mentorship. So now, as the presentations of the awardees have concluded, let's proceed to celebrate their excellence by conferring the much anticipated research award. So requesting the dignitaries to please step forward and do the honors. Commencing, I call upon Dr. Anand Pandey, recipient of Professor Daven Kumar Young Investors Gold Medal Award 2022. I humbly request Dr. Daven and Madam also to join for the felicitation. Please, ma'am. Let's give him a big round of applause for his remarkable achievements. Thank you. Next, Dr. Praful Chandra Tiwari, recipient of the Best PhD Thesis Award for this year. I think he deserves a strong applause. Many, many congratulations to Praful Chandra Tiwari. Recognition on the global stage not only honors individual brilliance, but also elevates the reputation of our institution as a hub of excellence. Today, we express our appreciation to the distinguished KGMU faculty members who have achieved remarkable recognition, securing positions among the top 2% scientists in the esteemed Stanford ranking for the year 2023. May I now have the honor to invite Professor Garg Sir, Department of Neurology Head, holding the impressive rank of 17,318 in the year 2023. May I now call upon Dr. Sujit Kumar Kar, Additional Professor in the Department of Psychiatry, positioned at rank 35,068. Dr. Shweta Singh. Dr. Shweta Singh, Professor in Clinical Psychology, securing a noteworthy rank of 102,575 in the year 2023. Dr. Shaili Awasthi ma'am, former Dean of Research and Development and ex-head of the Department of Pediatrics, King George's Medical University, with a notable rank of 122,242 for the year 2023. Moving on, may I have the honor to invite Dr. Rajesh Verma, sir, Professor in the Department of Neurology, achieving a rank of 162,403. Welcoming Dr. Abbas Ali Mehendi, sir, Vice Chancellor at Era University, Lucknow, and holding a commendable rank of 174,696. Many, many congratulations, sir. Next, we have Dr. Shailin Kumar Saxena, Professor at Center for Advanced Research, securing a position at 176,821. Last but not the least, Dr. Rashmi Kumar, former head of the Department of Pediatrics, with a distinguished rank of 255,557. So a big round of applause for these recipients of international honors. Next awardee is Vinay Suresh, final year MBBS student. Acknowledging the outstanding achievements in the field of research, Vinay Suresh receives the Outstanding MBBS Researchers Award. His remarkable contributions include 26 research papers in index high-impact journals, 12 acceptance in renowned international conferences, youngest recipient of the World Federation of Neurology grant, among top 2 medical students for training at IISER Pune, computational approaches to memory and plasticity, among top 20 MBBS students across India for medical students research training, trained in advanced molecular biology, and served as an international ambassador for India at Neurology and Neurosurgery Interest Group in the United Kingdom. So Vinay's dedication and accomplishments mark him as an exceptional researcher. So now moving on to the next category of awards, that is the Faculty Best Posters. The exhibited posters, spanning various categories, showcase the remarkable efforts and exceptional contributions of the dedicated faculty members of King George's Medical University. This time we received an impressive 107 entries, and out of this, 65 individuals are being honored with awards, while the remaining contributors will receive certificate of appreciation. Let's now proceed to acknowledge and celebrate the remarkable achievements. So to commence, first category is the preclinical category. And I call upon Dr. Shailin Kumar Saxena, Professor in Center for Advanced Research, receives the Award for Eminence in Research for his publication in the Journal of Medical Virology with an impact factor of 12.70, and his topic of publication is Antiviral and Anti-Inflammatory Activity of Compounds against Japanese Encephalitis, Virus Inhibition of NS5 Protein and Regulation of Key Immune and Inflammatory Signaling Pathways. He also receives 2 appreciation certificates for his next 2 publications titled on coronavirus. Next, may I call upon Dr. Ajay Kumar Verma from the Department of Respiratory Medicine. He received Certificate for Eminence in Research for his published research title, The Anti-Tumor and Immunostimulatory Effects of PLGA-based docetaxel Nanoparticle in Lung Cancer. Thank you. Dr. Ranjana Singh, Professor Biochemistry, is acknowledged with the Certificate for Eminence in Research for her publication on antimicrobial in human triple-negative breast cancer via suppression of Notch pathway. Dr. Preeti Agarwal. Dr. Preeti Agarwal from the Department of Pathology. Dr. Preeti is not there? From the Department of Pathology receives the Certificate for Eminence in Research, her publication titled BRCA1 Promoter Methylation and its Immunohistochemical Correlation. She also receives a Certificate of Eminence in Paraclinical category. Dr. Shivani Pandey. Dr. Shivani Pandey from the Department of Biochemistry is acknowledged with the Certificate for Eminence in Research for her research work titled Berberine ameliorates glucocorticoid-induced hyperglycemia, an in vitro and in vivo study. Dr. Mohammad Kaleem Ahmed from the Department of Biochemistry receives honor for his published on screening and validation of novel serum panel of microRNA in stratification of prostate cancer, for which he receives Certificate for Eminence in Research. Dr. Anshu Priya. Dr. Anshu Priya from the Department of Center of Advanced Research secures a Certificate for Eminence in Research. Her publication topic is Molecular Mechanism of Entero-aggregative E. coli Induced Apoptosis in Cultured Human Intestinal Epithelial Cells. Moving on to the next category, the paraclinical category. May I call upon Dr. Geeta Yadav from the Department of Pathology. She is awarded the Eminence in Research for a published title, T-cell dysfunction as a potential contributing factor in post-COVID-19 mucormycosis with an impact factor of 4.9, and the name of the journal is Mycosis. She also receives a Certificate for Eminence in Research for a study on severe COVID-19 associated hyperinflammatory syndrome versus classic hemophagocytic histiosis, similarities, differences, and way forward. Next is Dr. Rajendra Nath, Department of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. He received Certificate for Eminence in Research for his work on effect of curcumin and coenzyme Q10 alone and in combination on learning and memory in an animal model of Alzheimer's disease. Thank you. Dr. Chanchal Rana. Dr. Chanchal Rana, Department of Pathology receives Certificate for Eminence in Research and an appreciation certificate for a published review on molecular landscape of pediatric thyroid cancer, a review. Dr. Prashant Gupta. Dr. Prashant Gupta, professor in the Department of Microbiology, is recipient of 2 certificates for eminence in research with titles, A Prospective Observational Multi-Centric Clinical Trial to Evaluate Microscopic Examination of Acid Bacilli and Nasopharyngeal Carriage of Streptococcus pneumonia serotypes among healthy children in northern India. Dr. Rashmi Kushwaha from the Department of Pathology received Certificate for Eminence in Research for the published title, Early and Effective Diagnosis of Sepsis Using Flow Cytometry. So coming on to the next category, the clinical medical. May I call upon Dr. Hardeep Singh Malhotra, Professor Neurology, our Dean Research and Development, He is awarded for the eminence in research for his publication titled Immune Dysregulation in Subacute Sclerosing Panencephalitis, an exploratory case control study in Journal of Medical Virology with impact factor of 12.70. Dr. Shweta Pandey, Additional Professor, Neurology, receives 2 Certificate of Eminence in Research for 2 prospective studies, determinants of stroke in patients with rhinocerebral mucormycosis and phenomenological quality of life and predictors of reversibility in patients with drug-induced movement disorders. Dr. Rishi Pal. Can we have Dr. Rishi Pal, Professor in Pharmacology and Therapeutics, receives 4 certificates for eminence in research. I'm reading his 2 published study titles, Neuroprotective Role of Chloroquine via Modulation of Autophagy and Neuroinflammation Induced Parkinson's Disease, and the other is Artificial Intelligence, Revolutionizing Drug Development, Exploring Opportunities and Challenges. May I now have the honor to call Dr. R.K. Garg, sir, Head in Department of Neurology. He received certificate for eminence in his research for his published work, Central Nervous System, Spinal Root Ganglion and Brachial Plexus Involvement in Leprosy, a prospective study. He also receives 5 appreciation certificates for research work published in different journals in this category. Dr. Akshay Pradhan, Professor in the Department of Cardiology, receives 2 certificates for eminence in research for his contributions. His topics of research are clinical outcomes of non-compliant balloon dilatation catheter and lipid profile and small dense low density lipoproteins in acute coronary syndrome patients. Now may I call upon Dr. Ravi Unyal, Additional Professor in Neurology. He receives the certificate for eminence in research and his published title is Does Calcified Neurocystic Sarcosis Affect Migraine Characteristics? A Case Control Study. Now I call upon Dr. Sujit Kumar Kar, Additional Professor in the Department of Psychiatry. He receives 4 certificates for research eminence and his remarkable contributions. And reading his first title, Adjunctive Priming RTMS in Late Life Depression, a pilot single-blind randomized controlled trial. Dr. Narsingh Verma, sir, Faculty, Department of Physiology, receives the Certificate of Eminence for his study, Geographic and Socioeconomic Distribution of Real-World Indian Data of Home Blood Pressure Monitoring. The study protocol for an observational study in 18 medical centers across India. Can we now have Dr. Imran Rizvi, recipient of Certificate for Eminence in Research for the prospective study, Reasons for Rehospitalization in Patients with Tuberculosis Meningitis and its Impact on Outcome. I think Dr. Saurabh is receiving on Dr. Imran's behalf. Dr. Arisha Alam from the Department of Pediatrics is recipient of Certificate for Eminence in Research for a novel prognostic system based on clinical and laboratory parameters for childhood GB syndrome. So many congratulations, Dr. Arisha. Next, I call upon Dr. Vishwajit Singh. Dr. Vishwajit Singh, Professor in Urology, received Certificate for Eminence in Research for an exploratory case control study on gene polymorphism and heavy metal analysis in benign prostatic hyperplasia and prostate cancer. Dr. Shalini Tripathi, from the Department of Pediatrics, receives Eminence in Research Certificate for a case control study titled Role of cord blood IGF-1 and maternal HbA1c levels to predict interventricular septal hypertrophy among infants of diabetic mothers. Dr. Neeraj Kumar, Additional Professor in Department of Neurology, receives the Certificate for Eminence in Research. He did a prospective follow-up study on value of whole body MRI for the assessment of response to albendazole in disseminated neurocysticercosis. Now moving on to the next category, clinical and surgical. The first awardee is Dr. Abhijit Chandra, sir, Professor and Head Surgical Gastroenterology. He receives the award for eminence in research for publication in journal Disease of the Colon and Rectum with an impact factor of 3.9, and the title is Natural Orific Transanal Endoscopic Rectopexy for Complete Rectal Prolapse. He also received a certificate for eminence in research for his work on heterodimerization of cholecystokinin 1 and 2 receptors in gallbladder cancer. Dr. Anand Pandey. Dr. Anand Pandey, additional professor in pediatric surgery, is acknowledged with certificate for eminence in research for his 2 published work, intralesional steroid in the era of propranolol for infantile hemangioma. May I call upon Dr. Siddharth Agarwal from the Department of Ophthalmology. Dr. Agarwal received certificate for eminence in research for evaluating the reliability of smartphone photographs for school eye screening. May I have the honor to call upon J.D. Rawat, sir, Professor, Head in Department of Pediatric Surgery, and his research title is Congenital Anterior Urethral Valves and Diverticula, for which he receives a certificate for eminence in research. Dr. Rajat Mohan Srivastav from the Department of Ophthalmology secures certificate for eminence in research for his study intraocular pressure changes while reading smartphone digital text versus printed text in healthy individuals and those with glaucoma. With this, may I now call upon Dr. Neeraj, co-faculty in charge, to take over the award proceedings for the remaining category of awards.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatia. Now moving forward, the next award category is dental category. And in dental category, we have the first award is for Dr. Puran Chand, and he has been awarded award for eminence in research for his publication in Frontier in Molecular Bioscience with an impact factor of 5. The topic is identification of metabolic fingerprints in severe obstructive sleep apnea. The next certificate for eminence goes to Dr. Pramila Verma, Professor and Head Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics, on his topic of effect of amniotic membrane and platelet-rich fibrin membrane on bone healing, post-endodontic surgery, and ultrasonographic randomized control study. Now, I will call Dr. Vijay Kumar Sakhya, Professor Junior Grade Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics, for certificate for eminence in research for his topic shear bond strengths of Burr or ER YAG laser prepared dentine to composite resin with or without low-level laser conditioning and in vitro study. Now I will call Dr. Shalini Gupta, Professor Oral Pathology and Microbiology, for certificate for eminence in research. Now I will call Dr. Pragya Pandey, Professor Junior Grade, for certificate for eminence in research. The next attitude, perception and barriers of dental professional towards artificial intelligence. Now moving to next category, paramedical and nursing faculty category, and the award for eminence in research goes to Mrs. Sudha Mishra for publication in CNS Spectrum Impact Factor 3.3 on compulsive buying behavior and its association with emotional distress, depression, and impulsivity in general population, an online survey. Now, next category is for PG student category, and I will call Dr. Babli Kumari from Department of Psychiatry for award for eminence in research for publication in Asian Journal of Psychiatry with impact factor of 9.5. Bifrontal transcranial direct current stimulation as an early augmentation strategy in major depression disorder. Next awardee in PG student category is Dr. Ruchi Agrawal. She is getting certificate for eminence in research on his publication on efficacy and safety analysis of intravitreal biosimilar products or bevacizumab in patients with macular edema because of retinal diseases. Next award is Dr. R.T. Rajput from Department of ENT for Certificate for Eminence in Research for her publication in Modified Universal Newborn Hearing Screening, Practical Approach for Developing World. Now moving to next category of DMMCH PhD Scholars category, and the first award for eminence goes to Mr. Manendra Singh Tomar, PhD Scholar, Center for Advanced Research, on his publication on distinct metabolomic profiling of serum samples from high-fat diet-induced insulin-resistant mice. The next awardee is Mr. Vimal Kumar Maurya, PhD Scholars, Center for Advanced Research, Certificate of Eminence. Next award is Mr. Swatantra Kumar, PhD Scholar, Center for Advanced Research, Certificate for Eminence in Research, on his publication Antiviral and Anti-Inflammatory Activity of Novel Belladonna Formulation Against Japanese Encephalitis. Next award is Dr. Shivam Verma, Post-MD PhD Scholar Physiology of Department of Physiology, for his Certificate for Eminence in Research for his publication on anthropometry and blood biomarkers of diabetes and their possible association with obesity and metabolic syndrome. Next awardee is Mr. Mukul Kumar Singh, PhD Scholar, Department of Urology, for his Certificate for Eminence in Research, the relationship between BCG, immunotherapy, and oxidative state parameters in patients with non-invasive bladder carcinomas, invasive bladder cancer. Now moving towards the UG student category, and the Certificate for Eminence in Research goes to Mr. Subhajit Roy, MBBS 2019 batch, for his publication in a prospective observational study on the outcome assessment of conservative management versus intra-ICD in blunt chest injury patients. Now, moving to next category, exceptional research and travel and research fellowship category. There were many entries, and we have shortlisted 5 or 6 of the top. Mr. Dr. Kaushal Kishore Agrawal, Department of Prosthodontics, Appreciation Certificate for Patent on Dental Preclinical App 3D Learning Solution. Dr. Diksha Singh, she is also a co-patenter in this patent. She is patent for dental preclinical app 3D learning solution. Dr. Vijay Kumar Sakhya, appreciation certificate for Dr. Vijay Kumar Sakhya is for fellowship of ISDR in recognition of his outstanding contribution for the advancements of dental sciences at annual conference. Dr. Fahad Mansoor Samadi, Professor Junior Grade, Oral Pathology and Microbiology, appreciation certificates for fellowship in Royal College of Surgeons, Ireland, and International College of Dentists. Dr. Archika Gupta, Pediatric Surgery Department, appreciation certificate for International Guest Scholarship, Young Outstanding Surgical Teachers Award, and ASI Travel Fellowship Award 2023. Dr. Ajay Kumar Patwa, Department of Medicine, appreciation certificate for his publication on new diagnostic and therapeutic algorithm on hepatitis B. Dr. Swastika Suviriya, Department of Dermatology, Professor and Head, appreciation certificate for his publication. Now the next award category is for Research Quiz Award, and first, second, and third awards are there. There is appreciation certificate for Shubham Tripathi, MBBS 2018 batch. The first award goes to Shubham Tripathi. Manikiya Verma, MBBS 2020 Batch Appreciation Certificate for standing second in the quiz. Subhajit Roy, MBBS 2019 Batch Appreciation Certificate for standing third in the quiz. In the travel and fellowship category, apart from best 5, we also acknowledge other many entries. These faculties can collect appreciation certificate directly from the research cell. These faculties are Dr. Abhijit Chandra, Dr. Swastika, Dr. Balin Pratap Singh, Dr. Nisi Singh, Dr. Geetika Nanda, Dr. Syed Faisal Afaq, Dr. Arisha Alam, Dr. Anjani Kumar Pathak, Dr. Ajay Kumar Patwa, Dr. Kaushal Kishore, and Dr. Abhijit Chandra sir. So they can collect later the certificate for travel and fellowship. So this concludes the award ceremony.
Requesting dignitaries to take their place in the dais as we proceed with the ceremony. And we also want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Nusrat Hussain, ex-director RML. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing the occasion. And please take the opportunity to witness the showcase posters. Such diligent and impactful work truly deserves recognition. And I would like to inform that 53 of the awardees will also be given cash prize, recognizing their exceptional efforts. The cash prize will be awarded as follows. Publications with more than 10 impact factor will receive rupees 10,000. Publications with more than 5 impact factor will receive rupees 5,000. And more than 2 impact factor will receive a cash prize of rupees 2,000. And the cash prize will be deposited in their accounts in due course. Additionally and excitingly, the first prize winners in all 9 poster categories will also be honored during the upcoming Foundation Day. So moving on, now I welcome the Dean, Faculty of Dental Sciences, Dr. R.K. Patil sir, to the podium to hear his insights and thoughts for the day.
Thank you, Pragya. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sonia Nityanan Madam, today's Chief Guest, Dr. Anita Mahadevan, Guest of Honor, Professor D.K. Gupta sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Abhijit Kaur, Dean Academics, Professor Amita Jain, Dean Research, Professor Hardeep Singh Malhotra, distinguished guests of the dais, esteemed faculty members, researchers, dear students. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the awardees. The award we confer today is the evidence of the hard work, intellect, and innovative spirit of our researcher. Your work is a beacon that will illuminate the path for future researcher. I hope your success will inspire others to dream big and push the boundary of knowledge. Thank you and best wishes for future endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your words of encouragement. May I now have the honor of inviting on stage Dr. Amita Jain, Dean Medical KGMU, for her words of wisdom.
Okay. Dr. Anita Mahadevan, Professor Sonia Nityanand, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. D.K. Gupta, our ex-Vice Chancellor, dignitaries on and off the dais, some of the alumni who are present here, the illuminous faculty of King George's Medical University, and dear students. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Hardeep Malhotra for giving me this opportunity and also for organizing an important event, which is our research showcase. So thank you and congratulations, sir. Research is a key towards the progress of any society. So as good we are in research, as progressive we are supposedly to be. If it is supposed to be a yardstick, it's also to measure the success of an institution. So if you are good at research, we are a successful institution and we are an important institution. Today, I would like to congratulate all the award winners, and I think that they will take it as a inspiration and move forward in their journey, doing better research day to day. I would also like to congratulate Research Cell for encouraging each one of them and for felicitating each one of them for their success and for their achievement. For any researcher, it's imperative to understand how to go ahead. Like as our Honorable Vice Chancellor has said, that extramural funding will be very important for doing that. Today is the milieu. We are all set. There is a lot of funding available in the research arena. I would request each of you to please understand where are the gaps in research. Identify your thrust areas. Also look for the opportunities for the funding wherever they are available. You have to be there at the right time, at the right point, and knock the right door. With this, I congratulate all the award winners. Best wishes, and thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your perspectives are invaluable. My distinct pleasure of inviting a luminary, a visionary leader, and former Director, Professor and Head, Department of Pediatric Surgery, Super Specialty Pediatric Hospital and PG Teaching Institute, Professor, Head, Department of Pediatric Surgery, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and former Vice Chancellor, King George's Medical University. So, please join me in welcoming Professor D.K. Gupta, sir, the guest honor of the day, to share his thoughts and experiences with us.
Honorable Vice Chancellor of King George Medical University, Professor Sonia Nityanand, Chief Guests of the day, Professor Anita Mahadevan, Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Abjit, Professor Anita, Amita Jain, and Professor Patil. With special thanks to Professor Hardeep here, the star of the day, leading the research showcase, following the footsteps of eminent luminary Professor Shelley Awasthi. I am really delighted and thrilled to see the vibrancy in this hall after almost 8 years. More so, this has been graced by very eminent faculty, not only from this institution from India, but also from overseas, especially to name them. Professor Davendra Kumar, who has been a significant contributor and visitor to this university, and his wife, Dr. Goyal, D.K. Goyal from USA, and his wife, Dr. Shail Chaturvedi from Sydney, a psychiatrist, and all of them are alumni, Dr. Grace Chandra and his wife, and of course, the other eminent personalities who have just recently retired, those who are working, and namely Pro Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, our good friend Dr. Vineet Sharma, and Dr. Abbas, Dr. Kuril, Dr. Garg, and Dr. Rashmi, Dr. Alok Dhawan. It's nice to see so many, I mean, whose name I can announce and whom I can leave. But it is such a pleasure to stand before you, to meet you, to greet you, and especially to congratulate all of you, and especially the awardees. And on the top is Anand Pandey, our own colleague from our own specialty fraternity in this institution, whom I know for last couple of decades, that how much he has been interested in research, in publications, and clinical work. So congratulations personally, Anand. Keep it up, carry it on. And also to the department head, Dr. Jaleda Rawat, for leading the team now on the forefront, and in the past, Dr. Kuril. So, the research showcase in this university has shown the path to so many young minds, creating an environment of sensitization and envy, not the jealousy. And that has resulted into the outcome that we have seen today. The recognition of their minds, their research projects, their publications, in the articles, in the books, culminating into the growth of the institution, the department, and of course the country. I used to say to my students two things about research. That undoubtedly in the medical field, what we have seen today is the progress only of last 100 years. The science was almost flat for 2000 years in our history, and it is almost the last 20 years that has seen a very rapid progress in science, in medical science. Last 4 decades have seen the growth and innovations in the field of molecular biology, especially stem cell research. And past 2 decades now are being devoted mainly towards the artificial intelligence and synthetic organs. And all is because of the culmination or combination of the interests shown by the researchers, molecular biologists, biotechnologists, medical engineers, and the clinicians. Clinicians have to put forward their problems, their expectations, what is needed to improve the healthcare, and it is the job of the scientists and the researchers to find a solution for it. So the best outcome for the research is when you have an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. A single-minded approach is not that effective. The second point, what I used to tell our student is that you belong to a profession, whereas Mayo has said long back that it is only the medical science where it is extremely tough to get training and achieve excellence. It's most competitive. So to achieve that, you have to do extremely hard work, do it with passion, and do it with commitment. Apart from these, you have to be a human being. So result ultimately is that never leave your decency despite all odds, whether it is the interpersonal relationship, whether it is inter-patient relationship. Sometimes you have a tough time with the patients whose expectations are quite high these days, but never leave your decency. And that is how a clinician becomes a different clinician even after the first interaction. When they go back, they always quote, yes, I went to meet such and such doctor. Oh, he was rude. He didn't give me time. He didn't examine me. He was doing his own work. He was taking a cup of tea. Oh, he was busy somewhere else. He didn't look at me. So, as a clinician, I think you have the responsibility to look after all these aspects. Devote full time to the problem of the patient. You may not be able to solve it. You may be able to refer to, but these are extremely important, and I have noticed it, especially in overseas clinics and hospitals. Our eminent overseas faculty are here, and it is a routine with them that once the patient comes, he is the real God before you, and you have to attend to it. You have to be punctual to attend to it, and no question of attending to the telephones and others. So these are the two things basically which are very important for the growth and development of the faculty. And once the faculty is devoted to this aspect, the name of the institution goes up. One is research, and second one is the clinical care. So clinical care really in the true sense of the science and true sense with your medical behavior. So I would just like to again compliment all the awardees of the day, the medalists, the certificate awardees, and the research awardees. This puts them even on a very pedestal of responsibility, of a higher responsibility, that to continue and achieve higher and higher in your profession and in life. I'm sure you will keep on shining and contributing for the growth and development of this great medical institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's such a pleasure to hear you, and we will take your thought of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach for more and more research projects. So as the Deputy Chief Minister is visiting our institution at this time, our Honorable Vice Chancellor ma'am will have to leave. But before that, we would like to express our deep gratitude and honor for our esteemed chief guest and guest of honor. So may I once again request our dignitaries to please step forward.
Introduction first. Okay. I'll introduce. Due to this last minute development, I'm just tweaking the program a little. I will be introducing Dr. Anita Mahadevan. It's indeed inspiring, and believe me, when I was reading her CV, I really did not know where to start and where to finish. By the end of it, my jaw had dropped. It is so amazing. She is not only a medical doctor, but also a neuroscientist and an educator. After graduating from Kasturba Medical College, Bangalore, she did her DPB from the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Mumbai, MD Pathology from Seth GS Medical College, Mumbai, and subsequently also qualified a DNB in pathology. Her interest in neuropathology, diagnosis, research, and teaching spans more than 20 years. She established the Advanced Testing Facility for Immune-Mediated Disorders and Small Fiber Neuropathy. This facility has the largest database of CNS autoimmune disorders in the country. The current focus is on biomarker discovery in seronegative immune diseases. Dr. Anita is the coordinator for the only human brain tissue repository, the brain bank of the country. Interestingly, her research is centered around neuroinfections and prion disease, neuroinflammatory disorders, epilepsy pathology, developmental neuropathology, and peripheral neuropathologies. Her lab focuses on the study of cellular reservoir in brain in HIV/AIDS, radiopathologic correlation of neuroinfections, molecular characterization of HIV subtypes in the brain. I'm sure most of us are in awe already. She has also contributing to deciphering the pathobiology of rabies viral encephalitis.
In epilepsy, her lab has helped in elucidating the pathology of status epilepticus, Rasmussen's encephalitis, and she has developed a rat model of hot water epilepsy. I did not know that there was something called hot water epilepsy. Currently, her focus is on evaluating glial biology in the context of mitochondrial dysfunction. She is presently a member of the neuroscience community for master's and PhD in NIMHANS. And this doesn't end here. She fulfills her responsibility of giving back to the society through disseminating education about lifestyle disorders, talks to children in the schools about neuroscience education, and to the public about brain donation awareness. Isn't it incredible? A big round of applause for Dr. Anita Mahadevan.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And time to express our deep gratitude and honor for our esteemed chief guest and guest of honor. So once again, I request dignitaries to please step forward. May I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to kindly present a memento of appreciation to our chief guest, Professor Anita Mahadevan. Your presence has truly illuminated this occasion, ma'am, and we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your valuable time and contribution. Next, I would request Madam to present a memento Once again, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to present a memento to Dr. D.K. Gupta, sir, our former Vice Chancellor, as a token of appreciation. Now I request the Dean Research and Development to present a small token symbolizing our love and appreciation to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am. Your presence has added immense value to this event, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, dignitaries. Please take your seats. Our distinguished chief guest, Professor Anita Mahadevan, a luminary in the field of neuropathology, bringing forth a wealth of knowledge and expertise. Great pleasure, I invite ma'am for the much-awaited Professor Deven Gupta Research Oration.
The Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sonia Nityanand, the Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Kaur, the former VC, Professor Gupta, and the guest of honor, the deans of academic, Professor Amita Jain, Dean of Dental, Professor Patil, and the Dean of Research, Professor Malhotra. And I think the real chief guests of this occasion, who are all of the students and faculty who are sitting here, a very good afternoon. And I think I would like to thank each and every one of you for this very kind invitation for me to be here today. As I must say that it's been a humbling experience coming into this institute, not just because that it is more than 100 years old, but it's to see all of the alumni who are here, who have, I think, the pillars of this institute. All of you have sown the seeds which you are watching grow. And more importantly, I interacted with some of the students, and what came across was the pride that they have in being a Georgian. So that was really heartwarming. And I think that's the best credit that the institution can get, which is from the students. As I walked into this room, I saw the Hippocratic Oath. It's an oath that all of us take when we walk into this medical profession. And it struck me that we take an oath saying that we will do everything we can to save lives, and research is a very integral part of it, if you really think about it. Every day you are doing clinical research. When you take management decisions for a patient, you are doing clinical research. It's your constant clamor to have better drugs, more effective, less toxic drugs that is driving research. It's driving newer technology. It's driving newer development of products. And all of that is thanks to you. But somebody just sent me an SMS today morning, and I thought it was so appropriate. I'll just read it out. It says, success is like a vehicle, and that goes on hard work, on the wheels of hard work. But do you know what the fuel is for that vehicle to drive? It's supposed to be appreciation. And that's what your institute is giving you. I think I would really congratulate the VC and all of the deans here to celebrate 1 day of the year in acknowledging the research that each and every one of you is doing. And that is really an incentive for all of the others to do even better. So really congratulations to this management. I've really not seen it anywhere else. And I come from a premier institute. And I suppose the most exemplary model of this is Professor Devendra Gupta himself. And to give this oration, I must say, it's a deep honor, it's a deep privilege, and I really hope that I do justice to all of what he has done. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of what we have been doing. I must say before I start that although a lot of you have received awards, everyone I think is a winner. And more importantly, research is not a one-man or a one-woman show. It's a teamwork, and I'm standing here taking the credit for what my whole team has done. So I'll start off. You might wonder why I'm starting with something a little morbid probably, but Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. This is from our Upanishad, the Shanti Mantra, which literally means lead me from ignorance to wisdom. I will just try and explain to you, and at the end of this talk, I hope you understand why I started with that mantra. Is interaction allowed? Yes, okay. So what do you think is common to all this? You're looking at tough military gear, you're looking at fire-resistant clothing, you're looking at crash-worthy fuel system, you're looking at child-safe toys. Do you know what's common to each and every one of these? No. But do you know how it came about? Do you know why all of these developed? Do you know how it developed? All thanks to autopsies. All right? So how did it all begin? 300 BC. There were Greek physicians. I can't pronounce this, but I think it goes as Erisas. Right, okay, thank you. And Herophilus. These are two Greek physicians who are supposed to have pioneered dissecting, anatomical dissection of cadavers, and they wanted to study how the organs and the nerves work. This is an amphitheater in the University of Padua, 1594, and this is what it says on the top. I don't know how to read that, but what it means is, this is the place where death delights to help the living. Okay? But if you look at the autopsy's intellectual founder, it was Giovanni Morgagni. He was a physician at the University of Padua, and he wrote one of the probably the most gruesome but very riveting book. It's called The Seats and Causes of Disease Investigated by Anatomy. He himself performed more than 700 autopsies, and it's a very compassionate account. And he was the very first to link pathology with specific diseases. But William Osler was the one you all know who carried Morgagni's perspective into the present era. Now, he placed autopsy at the center of education. He himself performed more than 1,000, and he insisted that every staff member and student do them regularly. He always said that tracking the necrotic footprints of our own missteps or mistakes will teach us lessons far more memorable than any textbook can. Enter the 19th century. Now, if you look at British medical schools, they were the first to insist that dissecting a cadaver should be part of the curriculum. The British law, however, mandated that only executed criminals can be used for this purpose. And as attendance in anatomy classes swelled, much like it happens in ours, the supply of corpses were very insufficient. So what happened? We had industrious criminals who used to rob graves and sell the cadavers to university personnel. Of course, there's the story of William Burke and Hare, who were not going to wait for people to die, and they went about murdering and selling the corpses to the anatomy professor. But the golden age of autopsy came into the 19th century. Do you know who these two are? I'm sure you do. That's Rokitansky. He's from Vienna. He performed more than 30,000 autopsies. He was first to introduce a protocol. However, I really don't like his approach, because he said you have to do an autopsy without any knowledge of the clinical records to be unbiased. But of course, it doesn't work that way. There has to be a clinico-pathological correlation, and Dr. Garg is nodding. But it may have been the beginning of why we pathologists like to live in an ivory tower, which is wrong. So the actual father, if you look at it, is Rudolf Virchow from Berlin. He introduced microscopy. He was the first to introduce the cellular concept of disease. He warned against morbid pathology anatomy and stressed that future is going to be physiologic pathology, and that is what we see today. So the modern autopsy, if you see, has expanded. It includes application of so many specialized modern sciences, and examination went from light microscopy to electron microscopy, and now you have molecular biology. If you're wondering why I've put all those cartoons, it's just to keep you awake. So we do learn a lot from the dead, and we know that autopsy means to see for oneself. It has been used for several purposes, essentially to determine the cause of death, to look at what happens in disease, and more importantly, for the mechanism of various disease processes. Do we really need an autopsy anymore? It was in 1910, an American physician, Richard Cabot, he looked at 1,000 autopsies as an audit and actually said that the doctors were wrong 40% of the time. And he said, establishing the cause of death is essential to correcting medical misinformation and actually improving patient management. So this is something that I like to say, that dead men do tell tales. We are often told that dead men don't tell tales, but I feel that they do tell tales. So I'll give you a few stories just to keep you going. This was a 16-year-old boy who was adopted by a Goan couple. He had a sudden onset of ascending paralysis, progressed to respiratory failure, required ventilatory support. Clinical diagnosis was a GB syndrome. He was given large volume plasmapheresis, he was given IVIG, but still he died. The distraught parents sued the hospital for medical negligence. What do you think happened? This is the case itself. You're looking at a picture-perfect normal brain. This is the bottom view of the brain, and there is no uncle, no tonsillar herniation. So there was absolutely no edema, but still the patient died. And remember, the hospital has been sued. So what did we look at when we looked at the microscopy? Yes, Saurabh? Wow, there he is, he's right. So what we did look at were Negri bodies, and what you're looking at here are picture-perfect Negri bodies, bang on. So it was rabies viral antigen positive, and this was a case of rabies viral encephalitis. Way to go, Saurabh. Story 2, 21-year-old, 10 days after delivery had a seizure, lapsed into a coma. CT at admission appeared normal, but she was still given anti-edema measures, anticonvulsants. 10 days after admission, she succumbed. Parents booked a dowry harassment case against the husband, and an autopsy was performed. You want to go? You want to see the brain, right? exactly why autopsies are needed. So this is what you have. This is a normal brain for you, and you can see that this is swollen, and it is color? Color. Yeah, he says CVST. That's what we thought too. We looked very carefully. CVST is corticovenous sinus thrombosis. We didn't see any cortical vein thrombosis. Sinuses were patent. But it was gray, and gray is the diagnosis. Pathology is all about color. You want the microscopy? Say yes. So there you have it. You have multiple hemorrhages, tiny hemorrhages. We call them ring and ball hemorrhages. When we looked up close at the RBCs, what you're looking at are several parasitized RBCs. Exactly. It is cerebral malaria. So, autopsy has its usefulness, most often in telling you a diagnosis, but it has also helped identify new diseases. You have the story of 1981. New York, sudden increase in a very rare form of pneumonia amongst homosexuals. It was reported as pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. At the same time, Kaposi sarcoma was described. What are we talking about? AIDS. But all about AIDS came thanks to, say it, autopsies. Very good. It also helped in identifying several new diseases. We have the St. Louis encephalitis in 1999. It was an outbreak in New York City. This is all thanks to the city's very aggressive medical examiner who insisted that autopsies be done. And what was initially thought to be St. Louis turned out to be West Nile. That's the discovery of West Nile virus for you. And then, of course, the CDC established a nationwide control program. Same story with Ebola, same story with Legionnaire, same story with Hantan, all thanks to autopsies. It's also an epidemiological tool. It has helped in identifying potential disease outbreaks. We know about West Nile, we know about SARS, we know about the famous anthrax letters during Saddam Hussein's reign that induced an outbreak, all thanks to autopsies. Can't stop without talking about corona, right, which is all fresh in our mind. And all of the information that we know about corona, which finally led to a vaccine, was all thanks to this courageous group of pathologists who did autopsies even before the vaccination in the first wave, right? So that's the power of autopsy. But you know that there is a dramatic decline in autopsies the world over. And even in the United States, it's dropped from 90% in the 60s to less than 15%. In India, unfortunately, there are very few centers that perform autopsies. And the National Medical Council did a great service by removing autopsies from the curriculum. So that's out too. There are, of course, several forces arrayed against autopsies: regulatory, economic, cultural. There is a failure on the part of the clinicians to actually approach family members. There is also a failure on the part of pathologists to be willing to perform autopsies. So if you look at present-day clinician, he's going to tell you, he or she, we have MRIs, we have advanced technology, imaging technology. We don't need to know the diagnosis. We know it already. But remember Richard Cabot's, right? He said 40% of the time. But what happened? That was 1910. A more recent study with advanced imaging found that 20 to 30% despite imaging, we don't know the diagnosis. We looked at our own data, pre and post imaging, and in 14% of the time, the clinical diagnosis was discordant with what we found at pathology. So despite advances, be it in imaging, be it in molecular, that poor man's technology of autopsy still has a very important role to play. But it's dying because, one, probably the clinician's fear of malpractice resulting from findings at autopsy. It may also be a symbol of failure for clinicians who were unable to cure a patient. And actually, if you look at it, the time and effort that you spend in convincing a family for an autopsy, most clinicians feel is better spent in treating another living patient. And bottom line, there is no economic incentive for doing an autopsy. That's not just clinicians. We pathologists, most of them don't like autopsies. 2 to 4 smelly hours sitting in an autopsy room. What do we get at the end of it? It comes on top of other duties. We have so many things more important to do, like looking at a biopsy. Our surgeons are always on top of us, asking for a report. And most hospitals are not going to pay you extra. So that's the actual ground realities. But please remember that even in today's high-tech medical world, not the forensic glorified autopsy in television, but our good old clinical autopsies is a very effective means of quality control. It exposes mistakes, yes, but it also is a QC. It's the most powerful tool in the history of medicine, and this is responsible for all our knowledge of every disease. So if you neglect autopsy, it's anathema to the whole practice of medicine. We have missed lots of opportunities in collection. So should we revive this dying science? Does it have any implications in current practice? The answer is yes. You must remember that autopsies are now contributed to biospecimens, right, for banking. And that's what brings me to part 2, which is all about brain banking, which I think is a gift of hope. There are several minds who are behind brains, the pioneers and their discoveries. It started right from Hippocrates, who brought in this entire concept of encephalocentrism. He said brain is the command center. Then came Galen. He's the one who actually put together atrophy that you see in aging, what happens in raised intracranial pressure. All of that information came thanks to Galen. Harvey Cushing was the first to collect brain tumors. Halyburton, which is the very infamous euthanasia killings during the World War II, but he's the one who actually described the Halyburton spats. You may say there are several animal models which are life saviors. You have animal models for polio, smallpox, rabies, TB. It has helped in breast cancer, in discovering treatment. But clinicians will also tell you at the end of the day that whatever they cured mice of cancer simply didn't work in humans. So bottom line, we don't have good animal models for several of the neurological disorders. Have you seen a mouse with schizophrenia? Answer is no. So there are several animal models which exist for other disorders, but not for brain diseases. You don't have any spontaneous Alzheimer's disease in animals. If you look at aged rats and mice, there is no beta amyloid deposition. Dr. Garg will tell you TB in humans, but there is no animal model which is good for TB, right? So whatever knowledge you get from animals really cannot be extrapolated to humans. And therefore, it is very, very important that we have human brain, which would be the best if you want to study human disorders. And that led to the birth of brain banking. Initially, it was just a collection of diseases which produced the National History of Museum, and it was all of the slides and formalin fixed tissues that formed the basis of most of the first brain banks. It was used to teach medical students, but with the emergence of newer technologies, you have the omics now. You want fresh tissue, not pickled in formalin. You want fresh frozen tissue. And that is how brain banks came about. And we know now that these banks are responsible for several discoveries, starting with Alzheimer's disease. How did you know about neurofibrillary tangles, plaques, etc.? It was all thanks to patients' families consenting to donate their loved ones' brains. So, needed brain banks for that. You have moved on. Now you have a Bracken-Bra clinico-pathological staging. You have in vivo imaging of A-beta, all thanks to availability of brain banks giving you the information for you to look at in radiology. Biochemical studies. Now you're treating patients with Alzheimer's by giving acetylcholine. You've come up with vaccines. All of this is thanks to biochemical tests possible on fresh frozen tissue, which tells you that there are cholinergic neurons which are reduced in Alzheimer's disease. Choline acetyltransferase falls, and that's what led to treatment, thanks to brain banks alone. Several pioneering biochemical studies in Parkinson's disease, which has led to treatment. You give DOPA. There is a lot of imaging now possible to look at in vivo diagnosis. All of them started with Hornikiewicz, who was the first to look at the midbrain from fresh frozen tissue, and he said that the substantia nigra is pale because dopaminergic neurons are down, and he actually showed that DOPA levels are down. What do we need for this? Brain banks. So there are several more that have been possible. I can't keep going on, but remember that the entire CJD pathogenesis, that it's a conformational change in protein, is all thanks to the availability of banks. However, there are a lot of issues in banks. Remember that whatever donations we get from neurodegeneration is end stage. All right, so, and in several cases, we have very little clinical information about these patients. Very few donations are from those without dementia. Remember, we need age-matched controls, not just disease. So the answer has been cohorts. You enroll them early, you follow them up longitudinally, and you collect clinical data And when they die, you have a clinico-pathological correlation. That's the most precious form of banks that you can have. There are several such. There's the nun study, which is the oldest, where a group of nuns donated. They signed up during life, and they were followed up for almost 30, 40 years, and when they all died, the brains were taken. We have the religious order study. There are several such cohorts which are helping brain banks across the world. But remember, your banks should be future ready, because all of you want to do moleculars, all of you want different cells. Now, nobody asks me for hippocampus anymore. They want the hippocampal dentate gyrus neurons removed and given for research. So that's what you should be ready to do. So it is the need of the hour, because there's an explosion of so many newer techniques, but how you preserve is very, very critical. But we are back to the same. There is an alarming decline in autopsies globally. So what did the world do? Everywhere it's reduced. So what they did is to form networks. So if you look at United States, there are 82 brain banks, all of which have formed a network, and they share tissues, much like blood banks. You don't have blood, you ask another bank. So that's what they did with the brain banks. It's the same in Europe, 38 banks networked across. How many do we have in India? 1. So it's not a prestigious thing anymore. It is sad. We need more banks. But then you may ask, since so many banks are there, why does India need a bank at all? Why don't we just take, Swiggy it? I want midbrain from Parkinson's, I take you from UK, I take from US. The answer is, it's make in India. We have diseases which are very, very unique to our country. Thanks to all of the consanguineous marriages, we have so many different autosomal recessive disorders. You're not going to get any of those abroad, right? So you need your own bank. We need to bank our brains. So that's how it started. I didn't start this bank. It was by my mentor, Professor Shankar. He was a visionary. Way back in 1985, he started clamoring for a bank. It took 10 years for ICMR, DBT, DST to realize that, yes, it should be funded. And that's how it started, 1995. It remained the same until now, just one bank. So what did he want to do? He wanted to help humanity. He wanted to be a bridge between clinicians and basic scientists by providing very well-characterized brain tissues. So researchers really don't need to worry where the brain is coming from. Just ask and you shall be given. I'm not quoting the Bible, but that's exactly what he did for 30 long years. Who can donate? Anybody can donate. We need lots of normal controls. Just disease is really not going to help. We take it, of course, with a lot of informed consent. What do we do with the brain? We divide it into 2 hemispheres. God gave 2, so we divide it into 2 halves. We bread loaf it, and each anatomical Brodmann area is dissected out and frozen. Okay? So you can ask me for Brodmann area 8 if you want. We also take the cerebrospinal fluid and serum, and that's also banked. And that's a huge treasure for those who are developing indigenous kits. What do we do with the other half? We still pickle it in our favorite formalin, but this is what has helped develop the Brain Museum. All of these are, of course, very well characterized. Clinical annotation is also stored with each sample, and that's what our brain bank is about. Almost 3 decades now have gone by, and you may ask, what's your scorecard? When Dr. Shankar was asked, how many brains do you have in your bank? He would always say, can you tell me how much money you have in your account? You're not going to tell me that. So he wouldn't either, but he'd say, you ask me, I'll tell you if it's there. Anyway, so we have 300 plus brains that have been stored from traumatic head injuries, from neurodegeneration, from stroke, from psychiatric disorders, from infections. With the CSF and the serum, we also preserve epilepsy samples taken at surgery. So we have a huge epilepsy bank, we have a huge HIV bank, and during the coronavirus period, I have myself done autopsies and stored. What do we need now? We need users. So please, the more you use it, the happier we are. We have users from across the country, a lot of publications that have come out of it, a lot of projects that we have supported, and you may ask, okay, so what came out of it? Users are there. A lot of new discoveries. You've heard of cytochrome P450. You always thought it was in the liver. Did you know it was in the brain? That's what was discovered thanks to brain tissues available. And that also explains why different people respond differently to psychoactive drugs. A lot of biochemical tests. You name the mitochondrial dysfunction in neurodegeneration, it's all been tried out in this. a lot of aging studies have been looked at, aging in substantia nigra, not just in neurons, but also in the astrocytes and glia people are looking at what happens during aging. We even compared whether the melanized number of neurons in a UK midbrain and an Indian midbrain are different, and very interestingly, it was found that the nigral neuronal counts are similar, but incidence of PD in India is rare, so other factors are probably protective, and the famous curcumin story comes up. They also discovered that it's just a change in the DNA helix that probably triggers your neurofibrillary tangles in Alzheimer's disease. A lot of work in neuroinfection. With HIV AIDS, we were the first to discover that we have a subtype C. A subtype specific PCR was made. Why is that important? Because the vaccine that US makes is not going to be effective in India because we have a different subtype. It also explains why we didn't see HIV dementia. We have a different subtype. So all of that information was possible thanks to availability of samples from the brain bank. A lot of diagnostic kits have been made. We have the HIV kit, which is now used by NACO. We have the Cysticircle kit, diagnostic kit, which is validated in the brain bank. And we have the multiplex PCR kit, which in a single drop of CSF can detect 21 different pathogens, all validated at NIMHANS. A lot of omics studies. We've looked at chronic meningitis, paralytic rabies, epilepsy, you name it, and we've looked at it. In tuberculous meningitis, a lot of proteomic studies with promising biomarkers, but we know a lot of things get upregulated. We also found that several things get downregulated, and which are interestingly synaptic vesicle proteins, which probably contribute to cognitive dysfunction in survivors. We never talk about neurodegeneration following infections. We are happy with Alzheimer's, we're happy with everything else, but what about survivors of infections? They do develop cognitive dysfunction, and probably these are the reasons why. We looked at rabies. We are desperately trying to find a biomarker for antemortem diagnosis so that you don't have to wait for the patient to die and then we say, yeah, it's rabies. It's too late, right? So a lot of infections that we have looked at, even in HIV, we've looked at epilepsy. We found a genetic locus for hot water epilepsy, which is very unique to the south of India, a genetic locus for idiopathic generalized epilepsy, for Lafora body disease. And of course, the feather in the cap was we helped put India in nature. This work was done by Dr. Akhilesh Pandey from the Institute of Bioinformatics, and he just did a proteomic map. We have genomic map, but proteomic map was not there. And he looked at every organ and put up a proteomic map, which is now the reference atlas. So in summary, bank tissues have helped crucial advances in understanding and treatment of diseases, and it is well-preserved tissues, which is more in demand than ever. It helps knowledge dissemination, capacity building, public education. You may ask how. You remember the other half, which was in Formalin. We have the only human brain museum in the country, and that was started again by Dr. Shankar, who was a passionate believer in education. He wanted everyone to be illiterate, N being neuroscience. So he would catch them young. Those are 6-year-olds who come to the brain bank. It's now open to public, it's open to school children, and everybody gets to hold a brain. We hope that all of them become neuroscientists. So it has given us joy, it has given knowledge, it has given us hope. It has also given teaching material which we disseminate to various medical colleges. However, there are several operational problems. If we want this to continue, we need physicians to believe that this is needed. We need pathologists to get down into that mortuary and do the autopsy and be available 24/7. Stop wasting tissue. Don't throw it after diagnosis. Preserve that. Archive that. It's going to be a bank for your own research. Of course, there are several legal aspects of donation. If you remember, we have the Transplantation of Human Organ Act, 1994, not changed after that. That pertains only to organs for transplantation. There is nothing for research. So you have to still go to your own ethics committee to clear it. In a way, probably it's much easier. A question that has been asked was by Dr. Gupta actually, does religion forbid autopsy? The answer is no. This was a group of yogis who came from Himalayas. I thought they won't touch the brain. In fact, they picked it up and they taught me so much about the brain from the scriptures, right? So answer is no, it's a myth. None of the religions, we've looked at Hinduism, we looked at Sikhism, we've looked at Islam, we've looked at Buddhism, all of them actually encourage donation as the greatest gift that you can give to life. Who can enroll? I already told you, anyone can enroll. And how do we overcome all of these problems? So increased donations is only by increasing awareness. We need to clarify all of the legal and ethical issues, keeping public interest in mind, remove prejudice. Resources like the rest of the world has done, and that's what we have tried to do. It's time to create our own network. So thanks to ICMR, I've helped establish 2 more brain banks, one in PGI Chandigarh, AIMS Bhubaneswar. Why nowhere else? Because these are the only centers still doing autopsies, and that's what we need to have, banks. We helped Sri Lanka establish a brain bank, and that's doing very well. We also went to Asia to find out if China, Japan, all of them are interested in networking, because Japan has the largest supracentenarian brains. They live for more than 100 years, and they have very carefully collected that to know all about successful aging. So we wanted to know whether it can be a lot of political glitches, but we'll get there someday. So what's the roadmap? I'm ending with Dr. Shankar's favorite slide. He would always say, encourage establishment of tissue banks, develop infrastructure, dedicated manpower, very important, network with international banks, develop a standardized protocol with the international. So nobody can ask, is this properly collected? Does it have clinical? Just follow standardized protocol. Educate medical professionals, which is what I'm trying to do today, and the public, and promote cadaver organ donation. Last words. Back to what was written in the University of Padua, that this is the place where death delights to serve the living. That's why I started with Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. It's there in our Upanishad. And this is what should be on every one of our mortuaries. I will end by saying that none of this is possible without our very committed clinicians who go all out to ask for autopsies, our patients, donors, their families, my mortuary staff. This small group is there with me 24/7. At the drop of a hat, they come running to help me do an autopsy. And my entire brain bank staff, without whom none of this would have been possible. We all talk about our teachers. The Hippocratic Oath first says, salute your teachers. And I think for our brain bank, I have 3 teachers to whom I salute. Dr. Kumar, who taught us anatomy, a terror, but he taught us the beauty of anatomy. Dr. Ammo Shivraman, she was at KEM, my pathology teacher, and she instilled in me the beauty of, looking at an organ and learning from it. And of course, Professor Shankar, who taught me that there is a lot of art behind science. And the entire ethos of tissue banking is not for us to keep for ourselves, but it's for everybody in the country to use. And that is an ethos that he instilled in all of us. And therefore, this presentation is dedicated to Professor Shankar, who's been the father of brain banking in India. His contributions are larger than life, and all we are trying to do is keep his legacy alive. So thank you very much for your attention. I leave you with this.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dead man do tell tales, left us with a lot to ponder and explore further. Ma'am, your presentation was not only informative, but was very, very inspiring and surely reflects the dedication and passion you bring to this field. With this, I would like to invite Dr. Sujit Kumar Kar, Additional Professor in Department of Psychiatry, Co-Faculty in Charge Research Cell, to extend the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I think what Dr. Anita Mahadevan has told us with her really illuminating something, a lifetime passion and work, which is quite innovative, not only for pathologists, but also for the clinicians. I know this institution has a history of having a very large collection of bodies, especially for the anatomy students, but also the forensic department that has been contributing over several decades and now more than a century. What she has collected to demonstrate in her talk, which is really unique, from the University of Padua, and same is also in University of Uppsala, Sweden. I had the opportunity to see both, and they teach the students and how they started with it. It's really amazing that how much thoughts have gone into creating a brain bank in the country and how much it can contribute, especially for the medical legal cases, to solve these. I wholeheartedly wish to thank you for your excellent talk and for a very bright future indeed for educating and leading the group in this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we are very close to the end of today's program. It's my responsibility to convey the vote of thanks. So, respected dignitaries in the dais, a very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Research Cell, King George's Medical University, Lucknow, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, who left them for an important meeting. Throughout the program, she mentored us throughout the program. Our special thanks to Professor Anita Mahadevan, ma'am, and Professor D.K. Gupta, sir, for making this day very special for all of us by their presence. Thank you, ma'am. Your presentation is a perfect blend of art, science, and philosophy. This will be memorable for all of us. Our thanks to Pro Vice Chancellor, ma'am, Dean Academics, ma'am, Dean Dental, Dr. Patil, sir, Dean Nursing, ma'am, Dr. Punita Manik, and other deans of this university. Thank you, everyone, including the press and media, the staff of Research Cell, the alumni of King George Medical University from various parts of the globe who joined this program. Thanks to the faculty members of this university, the researchers, the students for their enthusiasm, their continuous support, and participating in this research showcase, making it a remarkable event. We look forward to your continuous support and in advancing the medical research. Thank you for being a part of this enriching experience. Here I close. I request you for joining the lunch. Before that, all the awardees are requested to stay back for a group photograph, which will be done outside this hall. Thank you so much.
I think to conclude the event, let us all rise for the national anthem, and after that we will come together for the group photograph.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
So thank you everyone for being a part of the Research Showcase 2023. I request the awardees to please come to the dais so that we can have a group photograph.
एक बाहर भी फोटोग्राफी हो जाएगी अवार्ड।
हाँ सर, यही खिंचवा लीजिए। हाँ सर। Students are requested to come in front of the dais, and the faculty members can line up at the back.
Well organized, all of you. Well organized.
So requesting everyone to please proceed for lunch.